What's up? It's Dad Dirty Spoon from the IWC, and this is, oddly enough, my TNA 2012 No Surrender post show. Just got back from watching the show and the rest of the Denver game, and I decided to shoot this video since I haven't done anything this week that remotely resembles productive, and so I said, why start now? This was a very interesting pay-per-view. In fact, several things happened in this pay-per-view that made absolutely no sense to me. This is all pay-per-view also further, to me personally, emphasized why TNA really needs to move out of the Impact Zone for their pay-per-views. But top to bottom, they had some really solid wrestling matches that were totally and completely disrespected by the crowd. Kinda. Well, to me. In any case, this whole pay-per-view was centered around the conclusion of the Bound for Glory series, and I'm telling you that they really made it seem like it was very, very important. This pay-per-view, among all other things, made the Bound for Glory series really seem like the most important thing the TNA has been working on for the past 3 months. Seeing as how they've had over 100 matches and it has dominated just about every piece of TNA programming since Slammiversary, I think they did a pretty good job of selling it as something that's important and something to look forward to. But here's what actually happened in the pay-per-view. We opened up with the Bound for Glory series match, Jeff Hardy versus Samoa Joe. Now, for me personally, I thought Samoa Joe was going to just cut through this entire competition tonight and be the #1 contender. And as I've always said, what happens when you assume? Well, I assumed, and I look like an ass. This was a solid match. It was a little slower than your normal Joe or Jeff Hardy match, but that was probably because they were saving themselves for the end of the show. Jeff Hardy was able to beat Samoa Joe with a roll-up. This will be an ongoing theme. But again, that's TNA's MO. They tend to have several matches in the same way on the same pay-per-view. I don't know why they do that. Again, this was a very solid match, and it really threw me off because I thought Joe was a lock to win this competition. But in any case, the next match was the Bully Ray versus James Storm Bound for Glory semifinal match. Again, I'd already been confused, so I'm like, well, this match anybody could win, but I was leaning more towards Bully Ray. I just didn't know how they were going to do it. Well, they introduced Bobby Roode into the equation. Bobby Roode smashed the beer bottle over James Storm's head while both referees were knocked out because they both took ref bumps again. Earl Hebner apparently can't stay out of the way of the competitors. Bobby Roode knocks out James Storm. Bully Ray covers him 1, 2, 3. Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy in the main event for the #1 contendership for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. The most interesting thing about this, and this is one of the things that really confused me, was Hulk Hogan had the police arrest Bobby Roode for assaulting James Storm in the ring with a beer bottle. Last time I checked, in a wrestling ring, you can do pretty much anything you want in the ring, outside the ring, in the parking lot. Hell, people have been mowed down in WWE, and the only thing was, I'll waive all charges if we can have a match. I mean, clearly, this is ridiculous. I mean, and the funny thing was, the police were there, Bobby Roode was in handcuffs, and James Storm flies into frame and starts beating the crap out of him. And again, last time I checked, both James Storm and Bobby Roode probably should have went to jail for that. But again, if we're trying to apply real world logic to wrestling, your brain will explode. So that was just two of the things that really confused me this evening. Next match was the TNA Knockouts Championship match of Miss Tessmacher versus Tara. And they had their very scantily clad Taryn Terrell as referee. Apparently she's going to be reffing all the Knockouts matches that are important since Earl Hebner can't be, what's the term? A non-partial. Can't imagine why. Anyhow, this was actually a very good Knockouts match that the crowd completely crapped on. They were dead silent throughout 5-minute stretches of this match. It was only about a 10-minute match, but I mean, I thought that if they had been in a wrestling town or people who had spent money to be there, it would have been a little bit more exciting. Again, Tessmacher retains over Tara. No big surprise there. Again, it was a wonky finish. But, you know, it was a knockouts match. No outside interference and no real need for the special referee. But they had one anyway, and she looked smoking. Next up, we had the Austin Aries fighting a member of the Ace and Eights group named Armbreaker. I guess we're going to use that as his nickname. Tenay and Taz were under the impression that was his real name, but that's just what they do because they're Tenay and Taz, and they really shouldn't be talking in any capacity. But again, I was really excited about this match. Not really, even the slightest. I thought this was stupid. I figured if you guys could just call out members of Aces and Eights and just apply names to them, why haven't you been doing this for the last couple of weeks? Take them out one by one. Any case, the match or fight started. There was no ref. Austin Aries was in jeans. The best part about this match to me was that Austin Aries had tricks. I mean, he hit the guy with he had a roll of quarters. I assume it's a roll of quarters. He had some kind of foreign object in his pocket. He had powder hidden in his jeans to blind the guy. It gave me the sense that he was really fighting and not some staged brawl that was, you know, basically a street fight without, you know, a 1, 2, 3 count. I thought that was the most entertaining part and probably the least wrestling, most real, but definitely one of the more believable segments of this night's pay-per-view. I was really looking forward to not watching this match. I was actually going to skip it, but we started watching it, and then Austin Aries started cheating. Except in a real fight, there is no cheating, there's only winning. So I was pleasantly surprised by this segment. Also, I love the part when it broke down into a brawl. Other members of Ace of Eight came in, the locker room emptied out. Hulk Hogan comes down, you know, 1 foot in front of the other because his spine is mostly aluminum and steel. Anyhow, just watch this. In the melee, Jeff Hardy gets injured by one of the members of the Aces of Eights, and so there's a question mark whether or not he will be performing in the main event. The next match is the X Division Championship, Zema Ion versus Sanjay Dutt. To me, this was match of the night. I don't know if it was all the high spots or the chain wrestling, but it's probably that. This actually edges out my very, very, very close second, the tag title match I'll talk about in a moment. But this match had chain wrestling, high spots, reversals, holds, all sorts of funky acrobatics that I think that the TNA really needs to start focusing on if they want to be successful. This match actually showcased what the X Division brings to wrestling and what sets TNA apart from other wrestling organizations, and the fact that they're not focusing on this, again, getting away from that, is one of the reasons why they will remain very, very distant second place. Anyway, Zema Ion wins clean, which also surprised me considering that last time Zema Ion went over on Sanjay Dutt, he needed a can of hairspray. But again, Sanjay Dutt did have a giant target on his shoulder when he had his little brace thing. But again, that would also be an ongoing theme, the injured shoulder bit. So Zema Ion goes over Sanjay Dutt clean. Bleh. Rob Van Dam versus Magnus was basically a throwaway match. Rob Van Dam won, of course. It must be in his contract. The TNA tag title matches, I was really kind of hoping that I would never have to hear the name Claire Lynch again, and this is why this is my second favorite match of the night. They had to go over that entire stupid storyline, and I again wanted to choke the life out of the TNA writers. But fortunately enough, this match was only about half an hour because they had to eat time. Angle was good. He was a little slow, but he is recovering from injury. AJ was excellent. AJ and Kazarian, again, those guys work great off each other. Their movesets really complement each other. And the introduction of Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and AJ Styles. They could have three-way matches that are just spot on entertaining all night. And just to throw Kurt Angle in there to occasionally add some power to the mix was an excellent match. Had they not mentioned Claire Lynch at all, they would have match of the night. That brings us to our main event, Bully Ray versus an injured Jeff Hardy for the Bound for Glory Series Finals. What can I say? This match was a little bit underwhelming. Jeff Hardy was selling the shoulder injury pretty hardcore. Bully Ray being the heel, he went after it. Couldn't get him down after a few power moves. Jeff Hardy had his openings. Twist of fate, Swanton win. What can I say? Apparently they think that Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries are going to tear it up in Phoenix. Oh no. I still believe that Samoa Joe should have gotten that spot, and I think that would have been a much better match. It would have been more of a David versus Goliath than a David versus David match. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just a consumer. Anyway, that was pretty much everything that happened that was interesting. We had a couple of shoulder injuries. Sanjay Dutt, Zema Ion match, the Knockout Championship match. Had wonky roll-up finishes. We had a couple of shoulder injuries. And I found out that if you commit assault in the ring, you can be arrested. Who knew? Anyway, this has been That Dirty Spoons from the IWC, signing off.